Are you somebody that cares more about instant gratification than you do about your future? Do you care more about pleasing yourself today than you do what you will receive in the future? That's a real question that I believe people need to ask themselves, especially today, because too many people whine, cry, and complain about where they ended up, even though they had a huge factor in the past that played into that through their choices and decisions. So so this formula I want to share with you. How much you make minus how much you spend equals how much you keep. And I'm talking about money here. How much money you make minus how much money you spend equals how much money you keep. So the first part, how much money you make. How much money you make is determined on your skills, it's determined on your experience, it's determined on your mindset and your set of beliefs, and it's determined on your perceived value. People focus too much on this part of the equation, even though it's the less important part of the equation. Because people think that making more money will solve their problems. And the truth is that you can't out earn stupidity and being undisciplined. It doesn't matter how much money you make. You will not be able to earn enough than you will be able to spend. That's the truth. So, boss, I want to go a little bit deeper. I want to go a little bit deeper into what I meant by that. So, how much money you make, your skills. We get paid on our skills, the things that we do for people, and people perceive as valuable. They are willing to pay for it. Those are our skills. It would be nice if we could learn a new skill every single day, every single week, every single month that would pay us more money. But learning a new skill takes time and effort and mastery. And they say for you to say you're a master at something, you need at least 10,000 hours of doing that thing. So skills isn't something you just get overnight. Experience, definitely something you can't get overnight. Experience is based on the amount of time that you spend doing something, and also the amount of hours you spent working on something. But a lot of that is determined with time. It's something you cannot get overnight. You cannot get more experience overnight. Your mindset and your beliefs. The reason I included mindset and beliefs in this, in how much you make, is because somebody who believes they deserve a little will always get a little. And somebody who believes they deserve a lot will always get a lot. If you do not believe that you are worth more, if you do not believe you are worth a certain price, you will never make that money. Why? Because you're never going to ask. In the same way, when somebody has the audacity to ask for more because they believe and it is audacity. It is. You have to have the audacity to ask for more because you believe you're worth more. And somebody will say yes. Somebody. Only if you're actually worth what you're claiming. You need to have the value first and then the audacity to ask. Then you will make that money. And then perceived value. People don't pay you what you think you're worth. People pay you what they think you're worth. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how much you know, how many years you spent learning your craft. If people do not believe that you are worth whatever it is you're claiming, they will never give you that money. They will never pay for your services or your products. They need to first believe that it's valuable enough. It's worth the money. They have to want the product more than they want their money. They have to want the service more than they want their money. Right? And how much you make takes time. You see, like they say the average man reaches his peak income in between the ages of 40 and 50. Bro, I'm 24 years old, especially if you're young. If you're young, the last thing you should be thinking about is the amount of money you can make. Because I'm telling you now, more likely than not, you're not going to make that money. You're not, whatever that crazy amount is you have in your head, You're not going to make that money unless if you have the value in the skills that unless if you have the values in the skills that you need to bring in that type of income, that type of experience you need to bring in that type of income. That takes time. It's something you can't get overnight. For example, I mean, I left that headset of trying to make as much money as I can right now. I left that alone because I know the money is coming. Why? Because I'm continuously working on my skills. I'm working on my craft. I'm gaining experience every single day, every single week, every single year. And I'm working on my mindset and my set of beliefs. The money is going to come. But it's not something I could change. I can't just change stuff tomorrow and just make $30,000 more, $50,000 more. That's something that takes time. It will come. It's coming. But it is not the most important part of the equation, which leads me to my next part. The next part of the equation, how much money you spend. Now, this part is the most important part in this equation. And the reason is because you could change how much money you spend today. You could change how you decide to spend your money today. You could change how much money you keep out of your paycheck. That is something you could decide today. That doesn't take time. That just takes a decision. That takes a choice. Now, how much money you spend is based on a couple of things. It's based on your habits. It's based on your behaviors. It's based on your needs and your wants. It's based on your interests and your hobbies. And it's based on your obligations. How much money people spend is really based around how they perceive life, what they believe they deserve, what they believe they need, what they believe, your needs and your wants, obligations, all that stuff. Too many people spend too much money in this area, in this part of the equation, which leaves them with a little amount of money that they keep, which is not good. And the reason it's not good is because if you only are keeping a small amount of money, that means that you don't have a lot of money to save, nor a lot of money to invest. If you do not have a lot of money to invest, you're missing out on this thing called compound interest. That's how people get rich. If you want to become rich, then you should be focusing on compound interest. All these people that's making all this money, if you want to live that type of life, you should be focusing on compound interest, on investments. That's how people do it. Making their money make money. But back to this part of the equation, how much money you spend. This is highly based on what you think you need, on your hobbies and your habits, on your behaviors. The reason I can't stress this enough. And that's why I just keep pausing, because it is so hard to really convey the message that how you perceive your life and what you need in your life is going to determine how much money you keep. If you believe you need to live in a certain house, if you believe you need to drive a certain car, if you believe you need to wear certain clothes, if you believe you need to smell a certain way with expensive colognes, whatever it is, you need specific shoes, whatever it is, you are going to drain out your bank account. A lot of the things that we think we need is honestly just social standards. They're not actual needs. They're wants that we think we need because it's a social standard. I remember when I first got married, everybody was telling me to go get a house. Why is that? Is it because a house is the best thing for me to do? Was the house the best thing for me to do at that time? Or was it something that was a social standard? A lot of people tell me get a new car. Is that because that's what I really need in the moment? Is it going to change me driving to work in a brand new car or in my old one? Or is it because it's a social standard? me going on all these trips and traveling the world, is that because that's something I truly need in my life? Or is that a social standard? A lot of the times these things are social standards and people put too much importance on these things, which is why they cannot save money. And tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. A lot of this stuff, and there is so much stuff that people will spend money on that are not necessities, that they do not use and they will forget about in 6 months, and less than 6 months actually, that they could have just saved the money and invested it or saved it. You have to change your habits and your behaviors, how you think about money. You do not need all these things, man. You do not. You think you need them. Man, let me tell you, I'm talking for myself too, because there are so many times when there's something I really, really think I need, or something that I think would make my life better. And then I go to sleep, or I give it a week, or I give it a month. And all of a sudden I forget about the thing. And I either forget about the thing, or I think about it again. And I think to myself, I really do not need that thing. And look, I'm not coming at anybody tough. I'm just trying to make the point that you have to take control of your habits and your behaviors if you want to change the future of your life. You have to take control of this stuff. You need to figure out when it comes to your needs and your wants, you need to truly ask yourself what your needs are, and what are wants that you are disguising as needs to justify buying that. Because every single time you spend $1, you're taking away from $1 you could invest it and put into your future. Every single time you spend $1, you're taking away $1 that you could have saved for the near future, for the next 2 to 3 years. This is your money. It's not mine. It's yours. This is the most important part in this equation. How much money you spend. And now the last part of the equation, how much money you keep. So now we went through how much money you make minus how much money you spend equals how much money you keep. How much money you keep will determine your savings rate. It will determine your investment contributions. It will determine how you spend your time. And it will also determine your quality of life. Let me explain. Your income is something that just will increase over time. Hopefully, it should increase over time, but it's something that you can't change tomorrow. Less how much money you spend, which is something you have much more control over, which is why I stressed on it so much. Depending how those numbers weigh out, you will be able to either increase or decrease how much money you keep. A savings rate. Savings rate is a very important factor. Let me tell you why. Because the amount of money that you save means the more money you will be able to invest. And which also means the amount of money you will be able to use in the near future to improve your quality of life. For example, if you wanted to put down for a house in the next 2 to 3 years, your savings rate will help bring that dream to life faster. The more money you save. Investment contributions. Listen, compound interest is one of the best things that God has put on this earth. It's one of the best things that God has put on this earth. Compound interest. Making your money make money. My God, it's not multiplication. It's compound. It's different. You cannot invest money that you do not have. You cannot invest money that you do not have. You are directly eating, spending, wasting your money in your expense category and taking away from how much money you keep and how much money you can invest for your tomorrow and for your quality of life. And look, how much money you keep really does affect how you spend your time. Let me tell you why. If you spend the majority of your life, which there's a lot of people out here, I'm telling you, if you really want to go ask about money, go have conversations with older people. Go have conversations with older people. That's what I've been doing. And I'm telling you, you think it can't happen to you? Yes, it can. You think you can't go broke when you're older? Yes, it can. You think you won't have to work a job for the rest of your life to support yourself? Yes, you can. It can happen. If you did not do a good job at saving when you were younger, when you're older, how are you going to support yourself? If you didn't invest into your retirement, if you didn't put money to the side, if you never paid off your house, if you never even got a house to begin with, you've just been renting your whole life. You are going to require, and the truth is, the older you get, the more health problems increase. The more, how do you say, you won't be able to eat the same type of foods. Let me not go to the topic, go off topic, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. You're going to have to spend more of your time working when you're older instead of enjoying that time doing other things. You're going to have to grind even harder because you're only getting older in it. And now that's when you start to get that anxiety, you start to figure out, oh my gosh, I really need this money. What do you care more about? Do you care more about having more control of your time, not having to clock in and out forcefully because you have bills to pay? Or do you care more about enjoying yourself today on things that you do not need? And now how you spend your time it will definitely affect your quality of life. It definitely will. If you are having to stress yourself out every single day to go to work because you do not have a choice and you don't even like your job that much. And not only do you not like your job, you have to put in more than 40 hours because you have these expensive bills to pay. And these bills are only getting higher. Inflation is a real thing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm telling you, I got a reality check the last couple of years seeing how fast inflation jumped. Oh, it could happen. It can happen to it can happen. And it is happening right now. You're going to be forced to work all these hours that you never even thought you would have needed. How you decide to spend your money today will affect how you will live your life in the future. Look, see, I'm on a mission right now to change my family history. And when I say change my family history, I'm not saying I'm trying to save everybody. And after I have this big grandiose plan of bringing everybody up or bringing everybody with me. That is not what I mean. What I mean by my family history is what the usual trend has been. What the usual trend has been. And all of our family trends have been different. All of our trends have been different. But you have to make a conscious choice. Because truthfully, even if you had a good family trend, it doesn't mean it's going to stay good. Because all it takes is that one bad apple. Somebody to start making stupid decisions. They could lose a whole family fortune. The average family fortune only lasts probably what? Four generations. On average, two to four generations. So that means that somebody down the line is going to mess it up. And then y'all going to have to restart it over again. I'm going to tell you, but I ain't going to be that person to mess it up, though. I'm going to be the person to put it together. And you should be, too. There are so many wants. And don't get it wrong. I have my own wants. But I don't want these things, instant gratification. I care. Being able to please myself today does matter because it would feel nice. But I care more about my future than I do about my today. Because my life ain't so bad. A lot of people make it seem as if you're not doing everything that you want to do in your brain, your life ain't good. My life is actually pretty good. I love my life right now. It's not everything that I would want, but that's okay. Because that'll come with time. And I care more about my future than I do about my today. Do you care more about your future than you do about your today? Do you care more about instant gratification than you do about your future? Do you have to please? If you do not please yourself today, is that going to kill you tomorrow? No. You have to change your mentality around a lot of this stuff. Stop. Social media is eating us alive, man. And look, I'm gonna keep it real. All of the same things everybody struggle with, I struggle with too. I am. Anybody's watching this video, if there's any part of your mind where you're thinking like, well, man, why are you being so tough? I want you to know that I'm being tough on myself too. Because we have to fight this stuff back. Everybody's telling us to spend. Everybody's telling us to do this, to do that, to enjoy it. Everybody who's fighting back. Because everybody who's doing this stuff is probably somebody who's broke. Somebody has to fight back. Somebody has to fight back. I don't want to spend the rest of my life slaving at a job. I don't want to spend the rest of my life running a business that I made. I don't want to spend the rest of my life having to clock in and clock out and find a way to keep making money because I have to. When I'm older, I want to make money because I want to, not because I have to. I am trying to get to the point to where me and my wife are financially stable. Our kids are with kids, we're still financially stable. And then we have more money than we need and then some. But to be able to do that, you have to change your habits and behaviors and your mindset and your mentality. I'm in the process, me and my wife are in the process of buying a condo right now. And a lot of people will say, well, wait for the interest rates to drop, wait for them to drop. And my first response is, I don't care about the interest rates. What I care about is, can I make the monthly payment? The interest rate could be 20% for all I care. What I care about is how much I make and how much it costs. If I could comfortably make that payment every single month, I don't care how high the interest rate is. I'm going to pay it. But then again, that same person would turn around and go take out not $100,000, but $50,000, $60,000 car loan on a car with an interest rate of what? Of like, how are these interest rates? Like 20% on a car because they want it. So you won't spend it on a house. But that's the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is you're more focused on an interest rate, something that sounds good, that sounds low, versus how much you can really afford. Because look, even though you get a low interest rate on a home, let's say it goes down to 3%, but a house is $500,000 and your monthly payment comes out to be what? $3,000? Even though the interest rate is low, does that justify you buying that house and it eating up all your income to the point to where you're house poor? No. Stop focusing on the actual items and the actual things. Focus on what you could afford. I remember I was talking to my wife one time. I was telling her, baby, hey, look, one day, if we make enough money, I'll buy you $10,000 purses. Not a problem. And she was like, well, babe, I would never want a $10,000 purse. That's so much money just for a purse. And I was like, but if we're making that amount of money, it doesn't make a difference. Us spending that $10,000 on a purse is the same way we could go out and spend $20 today on a plate of food or on a piece of jewelry or whatever it is. It's all proportionate. You have to look at stuff as ratios. It doesn't. The actual item doesn't matter. What matters is if you can afford it or not. Stop focusing on the items. Focus on if you could afford it. And that's where a lot of people get confused. And then that's where a lot of people start to lose. They start to lose because they're so focused on this particular brand. They're focused on this thing. They're focused on this idea, this perfect idea of this thing, instead of focusing on what they could comfortably afford. And look, what you could comfortably afford probably isn't that nice. It isn't what you dreamed of, but that's okay. Because if you care more about your future than you do about your today, you'll be able to live with that because you know you are receiving something in the future, something better in the future. And I'm not saying you need to live like dirt today. I'm just saying don't try to live up to your expectations or even past your expectations. Focus more on what you could actually afford. Because when you do that, you will be able to better control how much you spend, which will then be directly linked to how much money you keep. How much money you keep will allow you to invest more and save more money. This is what we want. This is what we want. And it's a process too. It's not something that just happens over a year or 2 years. This is what we want. This is what you need for your life. You have to learn how to, you need to learn better habits and better behaviors. I'm telling you, the same person you're handing out your money you're handing your money to get that instant gratification is the same person who's banking that money, investing that. They're saying thank you, holding on to that. Don't get it wrong. They provided you a service. They provided you a product that you enjoy or you think you needed, whatever. So they're not cheating you out the money. You cheated yourself because you're the one that said you needed that thing. They ain't cheating you out that money. You cheated yourself. And then they're going and invest that money for themselves and their families so they don't have to work in the future. Or either they get to live their life how they see fit in the future. And there's nothing wrong with working. I plan on working until the day I die. Honestly, I do. I want to be a public speaker. I can talk when I'm old. Ain't no problem. I've seen a lot of old people talk. I can do that too. That's what I plan on doing. But to be able to live my life how I see fit, I have to focus on my today. My decisions I make today will determine my tomorrow. It will determine all of our tomorrows. It is a perspective change that we need. How you perceive life matters. It makes the difference.